It's the 13th of September, 2016. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, nuclear proctologist.org. And you can find these videos in Fukushima throughout the internet, but pictures of the entire coastline of Canada, the devastation to the coastline of Canada, you can only find up at the nuclear proctologist.org, and we'll just give you a little sample of that. What we went and done, good morning everybody in the comment room, we'll be over. Wait for my stuff to load up. A little slow this morning, Dana, and a little load. I better dump the memory, I guess. So instead of the coastline looking rich and natural and incredible and conceivable, we went there to the same spot where those pictures came from. And it's really something else. And the Geiger counter is live up in your right-hand corner, even though it's not clear. And I had a hard time again this morning with that, but it's set at count per minute, and I'll just try to adjust that right quick here in a second coming up. Now, so instead of the coastline looking healthy and normal, incredible, inconceivable, unimaginable, just unbelievable, up in Louise Narrows is a prime example. This is a completely isolated spot. So we're at the entrance of Louise Narrows. We're going to go down. That's the west side. We're at the south end of it. It's called Louise Narrows because that's where I'm to. And that's at the top of the coastline. And I've done all those spots in that boat and with the little dinky. And what we've seen was utter devastation of the low tide zones. I was showing you these pictures are the documentation, the proof, period, bar nothing. You cannot debunk what I'm saying to you. You can't disregard what I'm saying to you neither. You can't get away from the implications of it, is what I mean by those words. What we're looking at is that the 4.2 million other species didn't recede that coastline. And these are not words that anybody on this planet should take lightly. These are not words that anybody who is not even familiar with the subject should take lightly. These are words that should instill urgency in you. These are words, these are pictures, these are documentation that should compel you to get your act together, to mature, to grow up, to throw off the shackles of the system that has put us into this spot. And this is your planet's last stand as we know it. We don't know of an ecosystem that can thrive without the basis. And the ocean has lost the basis of the food chain, it lost the basis of the oxygen chain, it lost the basis of the carbon sequestering chain. And that is our responsibility to not forget what it looks like, to not pretend that that is normal, to not pretend that that is somehow going to magically fix itself. When the 4.2 million other species, because normally it would look like this, we're every millimeter. So no, the 4.2 million other species were kept at bay. And now that the beach is wide open for them, then they have no reason not to settle there. So a better way to look at that would be that a glass of salt water, glass of salt water, not a big glass like that, but a little glass. Yeah, Dana got two glasses. I know, Dana bringing props into his set. I can see people chopping it out now and trying to use that to demon on me. Dana's trying to bring props in his set to confuse everybody. But a glass of salt water would have 1 billion creatures in it. You got to be Dana to understand that one, I think. But you got to... I don't really mean that, but that was another sarcasm. Oh. But I don't even realize I'm saying it till I say it sometimes when it comes to that stuff. It's a pun. So me. Hey, so 1 billion creatures, eggs, larvae, even small. So you got 1 billion creatures. 75 to 100 million of the billion creatures are the phytoplankton. They are the basis of the food chain. If you just knock that one out, everything else will collapse. But they're also the basis, because they're the basis of the carbon sequestering chain. Because they're the basis of the oxygen chain. And because they're the most vulnerable part of the ecosystem itself, they're single-celled animals. And so that radiation works in your body the same way it works in a phytoplankton, the same way it works in a moose, the same way it works in a baby, the same way it works in an insect, the same way it works in vegetables, in the same way that it works in... And the evidence is in your sewage systems. The evidence is in your drinking water, radiated pipes now. If you... Because this stuff has a unique effect upon material. All material, everything on the planet. There's nothing on the planet can last. We can't build it anyway, allegedly. And we are too cheap to try. But those companies, it's dependent upon their shareholders have to give up money for nuclear to even meet its regulatory obligations. So they create regulatory now so that they don't even have to meet these obligations anymore. And if you do, it's because they figured out how to do it through the government, taxpayers, not even knowing about it, really, the appropriations. So nuclear couldn't survive anyway. But we got... I don't know why this on too. Oh, I'm up on that guy there. So we got an extinction event. And we better get our asses in gear. We better come up with solutions because that is gone. And the 4.2 million other species. So if I was to go out there and plow that out of the way, yeah, for that whole side of the bay, Louise Narrows is not a bay actually. It's a loop in Pihana, major island off the coastline of Canada. And it's one of the most coveted places in Canada. This is what it looks like. Well, not anymore. But if you were to go out and plow all that stuff or just scoop it all up with a backhoe, you go down 2 feet deep, which is not deep enough, trust me, but you go down a couple of feet deep, we'll do that much at least. You scoop it all out of there, all of it. Come back later in a few months or a few years and be life everywhere. Come back in a couple of years, you won't know what happened, per se, because life on both sides of it, all around it, and constantly flowing through it. That is what is in a glass of water. And it would just reseed itself. And so if you had a landslide coming down and wipe out a part of a coastline, that is not, it had lots of life, then life will show back up again right away. But most of British Columbia looked exactly, no matter where you went in British Columbia, you can find a spot like that. No matter where you went in British Columbia. We covered 15,000 miles, 260 days. And we covered it. This is pretty good weather here, so I'm not worried about it, but we're heading back. 260 days up to 5 months. This trip is part of a 5-month trip where I never come back home. I've done this for 5 months straight. For 5 months. And then we came home and played that video. Leaving Prince Rupert. Bye-bye, Prince Rupert. Bye-bye, Prince Rupert. We're heading home. Home for a couple of weeks. Worn out. Time to take a break, I guess. And it looks like we got a nice sunny day for the trip home. Should be home by Monday. It's Thursday right now. And so we're headed to Prince Rupert. But that was after a long, torturous trip. Let's skip ahead. That was after a long, torturous trip anyway. How many suicide bombers does it take to equal that?
2016. I'm in the wrong format. What else is no?
How many suicide bombers, does it take to equal that? I didn't realize I had a video plugged in at that time. But how many suicide bombers does it take to equal that? Okay. Let's play this clip. I'm going to have to jack the noise up. Hang on. I'll set your volume as it plays.
Following the accident at the Fukushima plant, the Italian government is now freezing plans to build new nuclear power plants in the country. Earlier, the government had announced a one-year moratorium on site selection and plant construction after the disaster in Japan. On Tuesday, the administration of Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi submitted a bill to the Senate that indefinitely shelves the construction of new plants. The bill states the move is necessary in order to compile further scientific evidence on the safety of nuclear plants. After the Chernobyl accident, Italy shut down all of its nuclear power stations and abandoned nuclear power generation.
Right.
But the Berlusconi administration had come up with a plan to build new plants as a way to resolve the country's energy.
Why one is crying, the other one's singing. I'm live, man. Anybody? Yeah. YouTube, man. You don't know? Okay. Hang on. Somebody sent me a link, but I don't use my phone for internet. And I try to answer everything. My phone's been down all morning, so the fact that it's even working is good, I suppose. But, okay. So Italy was closing down for a whole year because they had to do studies. So what they needed to do was get the PR firms to create studies that said nuclear was okay, and this is what they done, and they showed the government that, and the government said, good job. Okay, let's fire it back up. So it was a legalese thing that they felt in order to protect themselves and to lull everybody in. Our government's going to take care of us, right? They're going to double check, see? The gullible, naive people. And then you got...
Not near Baghdad.
This is your media.
Them. They are nowhere. This is silly.
That's the media. That's your media. That's what your media... On every subject, they got this same... All these microphones. Except this is real, what you're looking at. That's actually real. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to jack them up a little tiny bit. So, apologies.
Not near Baghdad. Don't believe them. They are nowhere.
See all the
this
microphones?
Is silly.
This is silly. And that's by them. When they say to you radiation can't make it over here, that was because they were worried about, and they knew about this stuff here right away. They were familiar with this in the 40s and the 50s. This is a sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyball. And sometimes... So this reactor 3, this thing is 2 million times worse than any reactor currently on the planet, and 4,500 times worse than all the reactors combined on the planet. And it's so lethal. The reason being is they reclaim uranium, plutonium from missiles that are 40, 50 years old. And these missiles are unstable. They already gone through a chain reaction. Once it goes through a chain reaction, it's 2 million times worse than what it was originally when it was refined, before it went through a chain reaction. This is why we call this stuff man-made. And the sun produces it, we destroy it. And the theory was that everything comes from uranium. And so we replicate that by using uranium in a chain reaction. We create around 12,000 that we know about isotopes in North America. So we don't know about China. We don't know about India and Pakistan and Israel and everything else on the planet, Russia. We don't know about that. We know certain types of isotopes. We know it's all deadly. We know its longevities are till the end of time. And we have terrorist laws appropriately for this material. Right around the planet, we have Geiger counters for this material. So terrorists don't get their hands on it and contaminate your city, your drinking, your water supply, your transportation routes, blah, 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 which would permanently disable your community or your major hubs. Yeah? So you use that as a fear point to bludgeon you for authority and money. But the money never stops. If you build a big structure, you got to pay for it and the people in it all the time, and you got to justify it. And so it can never go away if you build it. Like the Homeland Security, these people were recruited on pizza boxes and coffee mugs. I'm not joking, not kidding, not making it up, not fabricating, misrepresenting it. No. No, not at all. Not even a will bit. No, because you can look that up and verify it yourself. And so when you amass people like this that never couldn't apply for a job with authority, but were encouraged to by splurging on pizzas and coffee, just think about if everybody, instead of buying a coffee for one day, took the money and solved a big issue on this planet. Yeah? Because that's how it could be done. That simple, that easy, that's mindless, that's straightforward, that mundane. You just got to pick the subject and everybody donates $3, say, for the fuel that would have cost them to get their coffee and then the coffee itself. And I'm sure you're not going to break their banks. If you went to get a coffee, you could have went and got another one and still donated that $3. Everybody on the planet that felt like putting it in an offshore bank account for a corporation that doesn't pay state, federal, provincial, or local taxes, they could have done that for a good organization too. Just to kind of, you do 10 exercises forward, you do 10 backwards. You don't frig up your spine, right? Hang on. Fix that friggin' Geiger counter. I might tell you 500 more times, buddy. You better get your... How come this is so weird? There's them over here. Might as well grab me old trusty. Thank goodness I'm back on my feet. Thank goodness I'm able to... I was frightened to death up in Banfield when I collapsed a couple of weeks back. I wouldn't walk again. That was frightening. Especially when you think about 10 years in a hospital bed, I already punched in. And 5 years in an electric wheelchair, a big stupid thing that I hated with a passion. But I loved it because it allowed me to do everything I wanted to do and gave me the freedom I craved. Satisfied that I can take care of myself. Finally, after years of people having to take care of me from my injuries, from 128 days on the ocean, 6 hours a day on the ocean floor. At the end of 14,000 hours, I smurfed up. 128 days straight. And remember, I'd done boat oceans extensively. I ran operations the entire time. And then for these expeditions, we covered 15,000 miles of the coastline. And that is something that I shouldn't have done. That was something I wasn't capable of doing. That was something I should never even considered. But that was something that we had to find out. That was something we had to see. The coastline of British Columbia, we had to know. We had to be in the know. So we went and we done the whole friggin' coastline. Dana? Coastline. Oh, I said coastline. And so you see the Geiger counter up in the top right-hand corner. In Germany, they throw the food away at 5. That's why Germany got rid of their nuclear, is getting rid of their nuclear, because they couldn't, because their air looked like that now. And so when he took food and put it on their table, it was exposed to 132 becquerels. But once it's in food, it's harder to pick up with the Geiger counter. Once it's in your water, it's harder to pick it up. Once it's in your body, but you can. You can take a Geiger counter and read it in your body if you know how to, if you got the right equipment. And that's because radiation will pump right through your body. And we were making a point about that earlier, about the phytoplankton. But 132 counts in France. Not only was Germany at 5 becquerels would go to a nuclear waste site. Now they can't do nothing with it because everything is 140, 150, whatever. But before Fukushima, and these numbers are just cesium or whatever. But at 140 microsievert, this is a microsievert, a unisiever, rather. 176 counts per minute up in the top right-hand corner. So if I got food in front of me, that was whole, and the UVIC says only got 2 becquerels in a cubic meter. Well, my Geiger counter that I do each live show, we stream that Geiger counter up in the top right corner. 167 is over a unisiever a minute. These are wicked doses. So France, before Fukushima, would package his food at what? 17 becquerels. And now the coastline of Canada, no longer the jewel of Canada. We went there, it's all up at the nuclearproctologist.org. And what I done was I showed that the 4.2 million other species were impacted also severely. Now we know from, and the documentary is coming out really soon. As soon as the court is over, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm leaving. I could have had it out earlier, but I'm waiting for the court case to be over. And no matter what happens at court this time, the documentary is coming out. But I'm going to be including that part of it. So there's no way they're getting away from that. And so when I come back, I got to start up a company, a film production company, in order to do this. And that's going to cost me. And which reminds me, I'm heading down this weekend to court for 3 days. And I'm not worried about it. I'm not sweating over anything like that. I don't have enough money, I don't think. I should have at least another $500 raised. That I'm going to put a call out right now and a plead out for people to help minimum. And if I get into trouble, I got no way of getting out of it, even with the $400 or $500. But I do have a friend here that I might be able to talk in the foot in the bill if I get stuck somewhere. And so I got that on my side, but I got to go. There's no issue. If I don't go, I'm guilty. And then I get the issue a warrant for me. Now, the last time I tried to go to court, we almost wrecked on the highway, and I didn't make it to court. And the mechanic said we should have wrecked. We should have lost it all right there. And they got 4 tow trucks. They take these wrecks off the highway all the time. He told me I should have wrecked. And I showed the pictures of that. In that 4-hour video about Bamfield. When I came back a couple of weeks from Bamfield, where I collapsed, I was barred from Bamfield. I'm barred from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. I'm barred from the University of Victoria. And that I was arrested. They took down the 2 videos I'm accused of saying stuff in when I was in jail with YouTube ghost accounts, not from a court order, but I was given a court order the next day, but I wasn't aware of what I was arrested for till I seen the judge. I had no idea what I was arrested for. Nobody told me what I was arrested for. Nobody showed me what I was arrested for, but they did ask me to give a video statement. But I don't know what I'm arrested for. But anyway, weathered the storms for the last year over this. The biggest media in Canada come out and reported on it. They know what was going on, but I didn't. I didn't know until I got in front of the judge. And the judge, I was told that my Facebook, I was slandering these people on my Facebook page, and I don't have a Facebook page. So everything was predicated upon, I was slandering on my Facebook page and on YouTube, but the videos on YouTube were taken down in the 12 hours I was in jail. The police didn't bother picking me up. The warrant was issued on a Sunday, the same day the Globe and Mail came out and broke the story. And then they broke the story a few days later after contacting me with an email and told me they watched my video that I produced after I got out of jail. It's up on my website, nuclearproctologist.org. It is so. It's right up there, sitting there. Pretty as the picture, still sitting there. That video of why. Now, so when I get out of jail, I got a court order to take down 300 of my videos. But for some reason, I'm not allowed to use that 2 videos that was knocked down by ghost accounts in the 12 hours I was sitting in jail. Who would have known that besides these people? And why did they use the ghost accounts when you had a court order for me? But, so this was a staged event by the University of Victoria, which is the law society, the law school. I'm going into that same community, which is owned by that law school, is all filled up with the law school. My lawyers from University of Victoria, prosecutors from there, and the judges from there. All from the same law school. Now, the people that I'm accused of, I'm not barred from their properties. I'm barred from those institutions. So it's not the people that are coming after me at all, is it? It has to be the corporation known as the University of Victoria, British Columbia in Canada, and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, which is a non-profit organization. I'm barred from those properties in tandem with the FBI, and I got their names, and in tandem with Saanich Police Department in Victoria, British Columbia. Not the RCMP, but Saanich Private. Just isolated to that one community, Victoria. So yeah, there's nothing funny going on there, I'm sure. But see, I came back off the ocean, right? And they had the charges stacked up waiting for me. And I was out doing the coastline. I was gone for 260 days altogether and 15,000 miles. Instead of looking like that, it's naked, see? So there's no hanky-panky going on there. This is what it should look like. This is what it has always looked like. This is why everybody came from all over the planet to look at it. This is what made it incredible and inconceivable. And you couldn't get it out of your memory. You couldn't shake it off. And why would you? It was incredible. Now it's like this, the same spot. These are all from that same spot. Think about that. That is what I'm used to. I've been there many, many times. 14,000 hours underwater. I had 30,000 hooks on the East Coast before I came to the West Coast. And 120 gill nests, and the industry collapsed allegedly down there. But the international fleet has never stopped. But we done the whole coastline. Bar nothing. Took my time and meandered it. And each arrow is just a representation of that whole area, of those 26,000 islands that we meandered through at my pace, with no monkey on my shoulder, outside of, oh shit, we are in so much crap. And then I put it up on my website for free when it was finally up there, and it's still up there. Then I was arrested and vilified in the mainstream media, the biggest media in Canada, including CBC, who I done 2 20-minute interviews with. The next day I got out of jail, when I had posted the video, the same day as the Globe and Mail email exchange, who then accused me of uttering death threats when I was charged with criminal harassment. And then, of course, the Globe and Mail is aggregated by 1,600 medias across Canada by internet robots. And so when the story went up, it was aggregated through all the communities. Lucky for me, I got a good reputation. Lucky for me, I'm not worried about that happening to me. Lucky for me, that is not able to sway those people that they were targeting that know me, their opinion, because I'm well known. Extraordinarily well known in Canada. And that anything they can throw at me, I don't have to hide away from. I can stand my ground, and I did, and I do, and I will, and I always have. And there's no other way around that. That's why I done what I done. That's why I guess I did. Who knows? Who really knows? In the context of, I'm probably only 15 years old, at best. Because I stopped being whoever I was when I was 15 years ago when I got injured. Whoever that guy was, I don't remember per se. But I did talk to my family for years about that, who I was. And things do come back, but not in the order they should be. The skills come back, but not the skills that allegedly I had. But then you move on with your life, don't you? I spent 10 years thinking I was going to go back to work each year as a commercial diver. Well, fool me once, fool me 10 times, shame on me. But that was my mentality because I can bounce back from anything, and I did, per se. But some things you can't bounce back from. My injuries from being in the ocean too deep for too long, to 128 days straight, 6 hours a day, basically. And we were harvesting. And so at that particular, and when you think about my unique experiences, that I'd done most industries on both oceans, and that I wasn't, not that it matters, but I wasn't just a typical person on a boat. I was usually running the boats or owning the boats. And that I had this passion for that ocean, this passion for that life, this incredible admiration for those encounters and gratification for that experience. And that in my spare time, because you can only dive so many hours a day, I would go to the whatever island or beach and hike it for 4 or 5, 6 hours, right at the shoreline. Because I'd done all this because this is what I love, because this is who I was, because this is what I grew up understanding, because this is the precious world that I understood and respected and admired. And so when I done the coastline, it was done from a sense of responsibility. It was done for a sense of kinship and friendship and familiarity and mutual respect. But ultimately, the ocean is the boss. The ocean gets the last call, gets the last ha-ha. And I've lost so many of my friends to that ocean, including, and so has many people I know. I get that. But once again, I come from a unique experience of that. That is long gone from this world and will never be seen again. I come from that history, that mythology of the great seamen and the kinship of the ocean. I come from that very foundation. I am that foundation. I am the personification of that. That is why I am like I am. That is why I have that personality, is because that is what I know really well. That is something I respect and fear more than you can imagine. That I was seasick every day for 11 years. But I still done my work. I puked over my hands. It didn't matter. But I was seasick every day for 11 years. And that's logged into the fisheries and oceans logs books that are submitted each year. Dana's seasick again this morning. That's logged in there. My dad logged that in. And I used to whine about it all the time. And he put that in there too. Dana whining. It's not that there wasn't compassion. It's just that there was this understanding that I done that on purpose. I was like that on purpose in the context of I didn't care. I was going to be a man. At some point, I would get over it. And I would suffer it out no matter what. To be that man, to be that person, to fit in, per se, in that world of men. Where I grew up, there was no hydraulics. And so the men had arms like orangutans, still do. They're still alive. They had these extraordinary, from hauling gear out of the ocean on the North Atlantic, where the average is around 20, 30-foot groundswell yearly. And frigid and cold and minus temperatures, where you beat the ice off the bow all the time. But you sail yonder into that cruel ocean to have your pittance, to have the basis of the basics. And so now we have, everybody feels like they're entitled to that, and so rightfully so, because we have that available, to that pittance of shelter and toilets and running water and meager electricity that it be. But because that becomes such that is so highly coveted and that is so highly regulated because they also has long been like this. Look what they done to Nikola Tesla. Instead of holding him up on a pedestal and making the world better, they stole everything they got from him and misused it. They burnt his place down out of competitiveness because theirs was inferior and couldn't and showed their incompetence. But it also showed, and these like Westinghouses and these places that done that, they only exist because they done that. And that a corporation can never go away. Walmart can never go away. It'll never die. Where a chartered company could die. And that's what your constitutions, your Bill of Rights, your Magna Cartas are. They're charters. They're not corporate personhood. The corporate personhood is where they took the slavery law in increments over decades and created this figment, this other human. And so the slavery law was created to free slaves from an oppressive government. The corporate personhood, and Justice Hugo Black in 1939 wrote an eloquent dissent, how absurd it was that an amendment meant to free the slaves from the oppressive people in government was being used by corporations to oppress a sovereign people. And so you're a sovereign person. Everybody on the planet is a sovereign person. And this planet doesn't have borders, but we do. And we have that because of this corporate personhood. Like, yeah, we should have borders, don't get me wrong, but we should be able to travel, is what I'm saying, without being groped by this TSA creature, by this molested by this inflated stockholders, corporate entity that is controlling the market. And then have that money liquidate into offshore accounts where these corporate personhood figures can't get criminal records. Mark Zuckerberg can't go to jail. Yeah? Can't get a criminal record. Yeah? Think about that one. Wrap your mind around that. You can't go to jail. You create, and you just come back out, use the same technique in another country now. Yeah? Because it's big money. And if you don't get a fine, well, instead of paying taxes because you're corporate personhood, you put your money in offshore accounts. Yeah? Because you're corporate personhood. And OSHA was stopped from searching a corporate personhood facility because, and then they had to pay a $400,000 fine in court for violating the corporate personhood's human rights. They don't have them all, but they have enough, see? And so this figment of lawyers and corporations, this is where the war machine, this is why TEPCO can't be held accountable, but the corporation pays fines, right? Or pays people off or whatever the case may be. But, Dana, this one was charged, that one was charged. Yeah, but look at the history of what we're talking about, in the context of what we're talking about. They were probably contractors or something. But TEPCO itself, there is no TEPCO. TEPCO is a piece of paper. TEPCO can't go to jail. And then, therefore, TEPCO can't get a criminal record. And TEPCO means TEPCO is still in business. Even if you convict somebody at TEPCO, TEPCO still exists. Now, normally it would cannibalize TEPCO to pay restitution, to pay outstanding debt. And you would put TEPCO owners, whoever owns it, but you can't put all the stockholders in jail. And so the stockholders should lose their assets when they invest in companies like this. So you should still liquidate TEPCO, and then the stockholders lose all their assets. That's justification. But the stockholders should then be banned from investing in stocks ever again because they invested in a shady company that dealt in nuclear technology. Nuclear is not supposed to be on the stock exchange. The reason that nuclear is getting away with everything is because it's corporate personhood. Everything is hid behind that. And corporate personhood, you can get rid of all of that by getting rid of the legal amendment to the slavery law. And that can be challenged constitutionally because in an illegal amendment in increments over decades by corporate lawyers with no challenges, you can rectify that. And you will at some point, maybe, if you survive what Fukushima done to us. The superstorms on the Pacific Ocean are not some figment of our imagination. They're not some joke. They're not some silly game. This reactor is 2 million times worse than any current reactor. This is Unit 3. Now look where the fuel pools are supposed to be. That's Unit 4. Can I switch them around or something? That's Unit 4. That's Unit 3. I'm sorry. So the fuel pools are in the top of the building. I know, Dana. Dana, where are you too, Dana? You got to come in here and show us. Okay, I'll come in there and show you. I'll do it. Up here. Oh, wrong picture, Dana. Dana, you got the wrong picture, Dana. Oh, Dana, you got the wrong picture. You don't know jack shit. Look at Dana. You don't know shit, man. He's had the wrong picture. Yeah, but I got it now. I'm in the fuel pool. Now, I can play you a little video clip if you want me to of me peeing in that thing, making fun of it. You see that yellow bulb? That's the center of the reactor, the top of the reactor. Here's the reactor core. I'm covering up the reactor core. And when it melts, it's coming out of my butt. See it coming out of my... It's coming out of my butt. That's the fuel pool. That's the fuel pool. Now, this is a front cutout of the building. Yeah? Okay. Oh, good. I touched something that time. We'll never get it right again. Let's play that little 10-second clip where this meshes together. So the fuel pools were 5 reactors were in the pool. In the pools. This is just the front cutout, mind you. And so they're all gone. That's 5 reactors gone. Let's forget about the reactor core. Let's pretend that's still there because it's gone too. It was running. Let that sink in. It was running. Can you hear me now? It was running. Can you hear me now? Anyway, what that means is this was mixed oxide fuel. So this is 6 reactor cores. 6. 6. 6. I try to do it with a big lip. 6. 6. Senor 6. You're 6. And I do sit net das yush in Korean. And I do sit yet yush. You go. And I do sit yet yush das you go her is 8. Her is 8. You go is 7. 6. Yeah, so it's the same thing in Korean. I'll be damned. Okay. This is Unit 4. See that yellow bulb is supposed to be in the center of the building. Oops. See the reactor pools? That's 5 reactor cores on top of the building. See the reactor core where it's supposed to be? Okay, that's 12. Kind of getting it yet? You understanding why I talk about the death of the Pacific Ocean the way I do? Just remember that the tsunami, you didn't know that? Tsunami came in. Oh, yes, boy. That's the nuclear power plant, just one of them. And they picked up 30 million one-ton bags. That's 5 lanes of traffic in the back of pickup trucks. Pretty cool, you ask me. But, wait for it. I'm just winding up the show here now. I'm going to call it an early show because I got to do a 1 o'clock with Richie Allen show in UK. It's in a couple of hours. It's 11:14 my time, 12:14, 1:14. So an hour and 45 minutes. Yay. I got the timer going. Let me see. Yeah, hour and 45 minutes. And the Richie Allen show. Should be a fun show. Talking about Fukushima, I guess. I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. My phone was out this morning, so we've done emails anyway. 193, 185 counts per minute on the Geiger counter. It's set to counter counts per minute. So this is where all the people died. They all died. La 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 la. Nobody cares. Oh, Dana, not as smart as you thought you were, Dana. So I thought I was already ready to do stuff like this. And also, what we got here? Big blow up, please, Mr. Draghi. Near field effects on March 11. Reports of fatality are in the red. missing her in the yellow. Anybody got a problem with that? Talk to the guy who made it. So people in the red and the yellow are missing. They are died along that coastline. I'm just pretending I'm a Japanese reporter. I'm not trying to be offensive. I got much better ways to do that. And so the nuclear power plants, the pretty power plants were all in a row when the tsunami came in. And how are you today? How are you today, my friends? Here I am now. Now we're gonna rip your place right to the ground. Na, 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 na. Yeah, can you get some power in the unit 3? Hey, Abe, we got a bit of water in the basement. Wait a second. 400 kilometers of the coastline, where all the power plants are towed, right? And then people were on site restoring power right away, and they were in the control room while this thing was raging. I'm not making that up. While this was happening, they were in the control room on the ground. Everything was ripped out. Every power pole, every transformer was ripped out of the building anyway. There's unit 4. See that big yellow thing is supposed to be in the middle at about another 7 stories up, 6 stories up. But do you think there's anything inside of that? Like, do you think there's I'm going to show you what the official picture, what it looks like on the inside. Official picture from 3 months ago. Yeah? No, I'm not making it up. No, that's the official pictures of the interior of that. Dana Coogie conspiracy theories. So what's wrong with this picture? Is there something? How hard is it? Right? Huh? How hard is it to come out and say, hey, that, by the way, folks, is a lie. Because it looks like that. So I don't know what TEPCO is talking about, but that's the official pictures from TEPCO. Oh, Dana, there could be something in that pool up there, the top center. Will you shut up? Look at the building. Look below it. What part about this is you can't wrap your mind around? What part about that is it that you're still sitting on a fucking fence waiting for? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for? This is a common problem. What are you waiting for somebody else to go and do the whole coastline in a boat and a dinghy and put it up at a website? Is that what you're waiting for? Somebody else to go out and show you all that before you can wrap your mind around and say, yeah, it's all gone, boy. You think I photoshopped all the pictures, whacked it all up on my site, and used my name and everything else all the time? Take the beatings that I take constantly, relentlessly, brutally, constant humiliations, the constant attacks, the constant degradation, the constant threats, real threats too, No, because they got no competition out there. I got no competition out there getting in their faces like I do. I got no competition. There's no one out there like me calling these people and holding them accountable, showing the documentation out there on the ocean, sourced out the information, put it in chronological order on top of that. You can find so much shit up on my site besides the Fukushima expeditions. The whole coastline is naked. Don't care. Went out there and looked at ourselves. Don't care. We went right up on the beaches, man. It used to look incredible. Don't care. Now it's all gone, man. Don't care. Look at it. You can zoom in anywhere. But it was incredible. Everywhere you went was incredible. Now I go there, you couldn't feed a beer. They couldn't feed the seals are dying on the coastline because instead of coming ashore and eating that, or eating on the right-hand side wherever they want to and snack on this, get some nutrients or just anything, they come ashore and there's nothing there. Right? They just put their fucking face down, eat anything there, and they'll get enough nutrients, even if it's not their regular diet. Right? They can grab onto anything and eat it when the seals that are starving that come ashore, right? That's how it worked in real bad times. But the species never came back, and the 4.2 million other species. So imagine the sea lion, seals coming ashore in California. This is what they would find. They go snack, snack, snack. And you go, well, I finally got something in my belly. No. They came ashore and ate the rocks, and that's what they found in their belly, the big fucking rocks. Because they can come in anywhere, dive down a couple of feet at high tide, that was right there. At low tide, they can just come in and wallow in it and just lick at it, and they'll be better. They'll feel better, and they'll become healthy again. That's why tens of thousands of seals, baby seals, died, is because when they came ashore, instead of that, in desperation, they came ashore, and there's still nothing. Their parents couldn't go get it and feed them the milk, and they couldn't come ashore and land on it. Say if their parents died, they would come ashore and eat that. They couldn't fend for themselves, right? They can come ashore and eat at that. So I went up and done the whole fucking coastline, excuse the language. I didn't have to worry about that site again. This is the biggest fear I had normally, was these freaking sea urchins, because they scare me. But I think I've seen one sea urchin or two sea urchins physically out of the water through in any of the spots I might have went to, and it was only in 2 or 3 spots total out of 260 days that we've seen. Never seen that at all. Never seen that ever. 260 days, 15,000 miles of coastline. Certainly never seen that, and you never will. You'll never see that, and you'll never see this. You'll see that. You might see 5 or 6 algae when we showed up, but you're not going to see that. You're not going to fucking see that. You're definitely not going to see that. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see that or that and that. And we got to have a conversation about it. Everything is fucking dying off. That's the die-off you're looking at right there, by the way. But you're not going to see that anymore. You're not going to see that anymore. You're not going to see that anymore or that anymore or that anymore. But it's the things that you don't see. The 4.2 million other species that are in the ocean. Once again, my cigarettes don't have 7,000 chemicals. How come your government don't tell you that? How come your government allowed 7,000 chemicals in your cigarette? Why did Banfield bar me for going up and asking them a couple of weeks ago, run out, you're Dana Durnford, get out of here, when I said, I was going to ask him, why wasn't there 14 species? Why is there only 14 out of the 7,200 species? 7,000 chemicals, 7,200 species. I just mixed the numbers up earlier. This is what I'm familiar with, 500 per square meter. This is just one species of the sea anemones. And I'll just hand it on that, graphics. Here's a list of the species, pre-Fukushima, post-Fukushima. That's the documentary will be coming out in a few weeks. And that'll be, boy, I'm not sure, I'm not going to say right now, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I got to get the company up and running. And I got other things. I got to buy a bunch of DVD printers. And I think the idea is going to be, you donate 100 and I'll send you 5 copies or something like that. And I got to buy DVD machines and start burning DVDs all day. And it's free to, it's acceptable to reburn them and give them to your neighbors or your friends and stuff like that. And I'll open up a little shop at the same time on my site for shirts and for nuclear proctologists up at the nuclear proctologists. That'll be happening at the same time as the DVD. And so I got to make enough money to do the things I need to do. I got to build a studio. I got to be in film production. I got to get films out there into the market itself. I got to get out and do lectures. But first off, we got to beat the case coming up this week. Next, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Starts at 9 a.m. Victoria Law Courts. You'll see my name on the screen. TV screens when you walk in. They weren't there when I first went to court. The lawyer or the police officer, Stephen Crooks, was trying to get me to come down to the police station and give a video statement. And then they had to scramble to get me in front of a judge that first appearance down in Victoria. You know, it was a ferry in a hotel rooms. And it was a storm, and I had to take the ferry the long way to Vancouver and then shoot across from Vancouver to Vancouver Island. Our ferry wasn't running straight across. It was too small. And so you can donate at thenuclearproctologist.org with credit cards or PayPal, Dana Durnford at hotmail.com. There's a link directly to my PayPal below. And it takes 5 days for the money to show up in my account. I'll be in Victoria the weekend, and so I have enough to go down there maybe. But if I run into any issues, I could be in trouble in a heartbeat. And I don't have enough total, I don't think I do, to make it back without a whole lot of weight on my shoulders. And so I'm asking to raise at least $400 or $500. And then when I come back, we're going to raise enough to start up that little company and get that incorporated, and then to get the DVD burners and start printing the DVDs. And I'll think about having it online at the same time. And everything else, right? There's not going to be, it's not what you call, it's not something you've seen from me before in context. It won't be my voice, etc., etc. I'm not saying anything. Actually, I want it to be a nice surprise, if that's possible in this story. But I want to be a total surprise about it. And there's a lot of heartaches and love gone into it. And we say hi to everybody as we wind down the show. Call it a day. Up to the, I screwed that one up. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, thank you, answers. Hi, Glenn. Daniel. Ellie. Jan Brooks. 100 tone. And we're back to, let me fix that, because I can't read it that way. If I can't read it, I'm pretty sure you guys can't. Hi, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Hugs for everybody. We're going to be doing the Richie Allen show in a couple of hours, 11:30, 12:31, so an hour and a half from now. I will so, Jan. Yeah, no, I'm still working on that. I'm keeping everything tight to my chest because we know the system has gone bananas on me already. This is why they arrested me. And this is why I got to go down there for 3 days, 6 hours a day in the courtroom. And remember, they barred me from my video clips. I can't use the video clips I'm charged with. They barred me from having expert witnesses. And they barred me from being able to use bananas, potato chips, and walking in sunshine as context. Like over the top in order to try to get me to submit. Good luck. All I can say is good luck. Hi, Fix It. Nip Killer. Daniel. Gov. Fakery. Fukushima Exposed. Erwin. I probably pronounced your name wrong. Crystal. Shani. Hi, everybody. William. Censor. Cruising. Amthurs. Elaine is out there, I'm sure. I didn't say hi. I just forget now because I didn't come over and say hi to everybody today. I just staying on a mission. Burnt out. Obviously, I didn't do a show yesterday. I'm so freaking burnt out. It's not funny. Yeah, what will you tell the kiddies? That's right, Elaine. I hear you. Hugs, my honey. And everybody out there, thank you, everybody. Just remember, to the people that are watching this later, that these comments won't show up under the video. And that's Google. And so it's extra important that I do what I do each time, that I at least come over and try to say hi to everybody. Thanks, Brian. And anybody I didn't get, Graham, Starlight, anybody I didn't get, my apologies. And I'll copy the comments. I'll read them later today anyway. And trade of Fukushima water safe for release. We covered that story a little while back, a week ago. That guy is a known nuclear crank. He's over the top. He's the guy who was telling you Unit 4 was beautiful, by the way. So that's the guy everybody's going to put their fate into. We got to stop stuff like that. These are the most dangerous people on the planet. Fukushima backlash hit Japan's prime minister. One more headline, might as well hit it. That's because the prime minister lied about the Fukushima. That's 8 for you. And not sure what this one. How the fish industry is defrauding millions and should be avoided at all costs. Woo-hoo-hoo. All kinds of stories coming out. That one I haven't finished reading it. But think about Fukushima when you do. Once again, Please donate at the Nuclear Proctologist. Links are below the video at Beautiful Girl Boy Dana on YouTube. It's important. And I need that weight off my shoulder right now because I'm going up against the creature, the monster itself that is the government, right? We're going right into the lion's den. That's literally what we're doing, into the lion's den. And there's no way back that I know about from these guys without dealing with it, without going and standing up to them, because these are chicken neck. These are little bootlickers. These are the lapdogs. These are the cowards. And that ultimately we will succeed. See everybody tomorrow.